In Rhino, joining us now, the Commissioner of Transportation for Mississippi's Northern District, John Caldwell. Good morning, Commissioner. Thanks for joining us today, sir.
Good morning, Gerard. It's always good to be here. It's been a while.
Yes, sir, it has. So the legislature all buttoned up for 2023. How'd it go for you?
Well, I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good was the people involved, from the governor on down. It was really good. Actually, Senator McMahon, I'm in his district right now in Tupelo, and Senator Branning, Chairman Busby in the House, and Chairman White, Chairman Lamar. They were just excellent to work with, good people, and that's a shining light in Mississippi government, from the Republican slate we have running this year to down to the community stakeholders. We got good people trying to do good work. The bad is the process. I mean, when you come down to the last 5 days and 6 people get in a room to trying to make a decision, that's kind of disappointing. And the ugly is the premise that we have a user pay system that we don't have. I mean, we have fuel tax, but that's not sufficient to fund the transportation department, which leaves us at the end of the session just hoping for a little something to come out of the session.
So, Commissioner, when you say not sufficient to fund the transportation department, that to me implies some sort of shortfalls in services and investment in new infrastructure, perhaps modernization of existing infrastructure, roads, bridges, et cetera. What do you mean exactly by that? Is that what that means? Is that we don't have enough money to do some of those projects?
Shortfalls. Yeah, it doesn't imply shortfalls. There are shortfalls. I mean, we have been estimated at $400 million a year that we need just to maintain the existing highways that we have, which we're not getting. I mean, so that's a real number. It's real. I mean, when we get through with the session, we get a lot of calls. Well, and the term I'm hating to hear now, I'm about ready to block that term on my phone if I could. It says, now that you have all that money, now that you have all that money, can we fix this highway? And you can't fix that highway because we don't have all that money. I mean, that money that we were assigned this year is specifically for capacity projects. North Mississippi in particular got enough money for part of one highway. And if that's good enough for folks, I mean, I'm just not going to break my arm, pat myself on the back on that one. I mean, we got a lot to do, and there's a lot of shortfalls.
So, yeah, and so what I really meant to say is it implies that there's some sort of shortfalls with respect to needs, not money, not monetary, not referring to that specifically, but rather that there are some things that are deemed necessary for transportation in our state, transportation, roadways, bridges, et cetera, everything that your department is responsible for, that we can't get done because we don't have enough money. That's what I'm hearing you say.
That's exactly right. And some of it is basic maintenance, but basic maintenance is safety. I mean, if you don't have a safe road to travel, that's an issue. If you have intersections that we don't have time or the money to hire engineers and contractors to fix those dangerous intersections, that's a problem. That is a shortfall. And so that's something that we have to address, and we have to address it quickly, or we're just going to continue to get worse.
So from a revenue perspective, do you have any thoughts about how we could increase revenues for this purpose?
Well, I do have a lot of thoughts about increasing revenue, and I think there's several mechanisms out there that have been discussed, but we got to get serious about it and quit. It's more than talk show stuff. I mean, we got to get in the room and start saying, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to accept? What are we willing to spend? What level of service do we want our roads to have? And we haven't done that yet. We've kind of touched the surface of that. And again, going back to the good people, we got good people that are starting to recognize the need. And the problem is we got more money than ever, but more money than ever doesn't equal more work than ever. I mean, Joe Biden, you talked about some of the taxes. The revenue is more money than ever. Right now, we don't have more work than ever.
Yeah, and it's certainly the state level. I just attended an event and that had some legislators that represent my county speak, and also the Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann, and he was, in fact, sharing some of that data about how our rainy day fund now is maxed out, $700 million plus dollars. We continue to exceed revenue estimates. We got $1 billion of cash. And so we're just in good fiscal shape as a state. Do you think that the legislature should tap some of that excess, some of that surplus, and steer it to transportation?
Sure, and they are to some degree, but that's not the solution. One-time money is not the solution. For
Okay.
example, we got $45 million in one-time money last year to do overlay projects. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
get that money again this year. That money
Right.
is not back. So that's
Was that
$45
federal or
million
state?
less this year. That's
Was
state.
that
That's
okay?
45 million that we had last year from the state that we're not getting back this year for overlay.
Okay.
You know,
So,
and when you go ahead.
I was going to say, you indicated you made the point that the pretty much the exclusive source of your revenue, is it not, is fuel taxes.
That's right. And of course, when they did the fuel tax the additional fuel tax in 1987, people were used to getting about 18 miles a gallon on their car. Now they're getting about 36 miles a gallon on their car, and we pay it by the gallon. So uh, that reduces our revenue. We
Yeah.
also get people that are working from home, less travel reduces the revenue. People bringing electric cars in, they're doing electric cars, so they're not paying a fuel tax, reduces revenue. So the 87 highway program was done at a cost of $1.3 billion, and that was 36 years ago. Ironically, it took 36 years after Eisenhower put in the Federal Highway Act. I think it was 1956. 36 years later, they called it finished. But they built a U.S. interstate system. In '87, they did a program that built a 4-lane highway system in Mississippi. We need to start looking in a broader, bigger way of how we're going to face the future in transportation in Mississippi.
Are you a proponent of increasing the fuel tax, the excise tax?
Well, we need to look at every avenue of revenue. You can't fix a road with good looks and charm. It is going to be a tax of some kind, of some measure. So when everybody's out there and all these Republicans in the supermajority are talking about what we're going to do going forward, we can't fix your road without taxes. And so whether it's a fuel tax, whether it's a user tax, whether it's a wheel tax, I'm not a fan of the mileage tax option that people are talking about. I think that's very intrusive, and I'm 100% against a mileage tax. But we can't fix it on good looks and charm. It's going to have to be revenue, and revenue is taxes. Now, I'm a big fan of doing away with the income tax. I don't think the income tax ought to be used as our mechanism to fund roads and highways. We need to look at more of a user-based system, and I'm open to a lot of discussions.
Have you talked to, I assume you have, talked to members of the legislature, statewide leaders about this?
Yes, and the discussions are very friendly, very very open, and people acknowledge the need. Uh, Trying to address the need at that scope and that level kind of makes people balk a little bit. But I mean, when you start talking about $400 million a year just for maintenance, and we're haggling and scraping at the last week of a session trying to get a little extra money. 400 million for maintenance additional is what we need. What our estimators have figured, and that doesn't count all the inflation that's coming on. So it's going to be more than that. So yes,
Yeah.
we have talked. There's a lot of open discussion, and we just need to make it more than discussion. We need to make it a plan, and we need to make it something we can promote, and we can all get together and advocate for, and improve that infrastructure.
Do you think there may be more of an appetite for some sort of tax increases, increase in revenue allocation, however it's achieved, when we seat a new class in the legislature, and we're 4 years removed from the next election cycle? Maybe those kinds of controversial issues are more likely to be taken up early.
I'm not a fan of an appetite for a new tax just because of that nature of that sentence.
Yeah, but you
There's
said we
no
need
appetite for a
revenue.
new tax.
You said
But
we
we
need
do
revenue,
need
though.
to, yeah, we have to advocate for a better highway system and a better road, and it will include revenue, and revenue is taxes. But I don't want to go from, well, let's just go get a new tax because it's the first year of an election year. I
Well, I'm
mean,
just saying that
we need.
there's more of an inclination to take that up. That's all I'm saying. So,
Oh,
but I get it.
absolutely.
Need more revenue.
Yes, sir.
Well, okay. Appreciate it, John. Thanks, and thanks for your service to the state of Mississippi, sir. We really appreciate you coming on. John Caldwell, Commissioner of
Thanks for
Mississippi's
having me.
Northern District. Yes, sir. We're stepping aside, coming right back in the Element